Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Just a quick intro video to let you know what you're about to see, because the actual work starts right in the middle. Basically, I'm having fuel delivery problems with my skid steer Bobcat T300. The fuel keeps siphoning down, and therefore it leaves air in the line and it won't start easily. I had to make a new fuel bleeder valve because that valve was leaking profusely, and I also got a new pump, which is a one-way pump in line that sends the fuel up through the fuel filter, and it gets all the air out of the line. And that bleeder valve is the way you let the air out. So those two things are what I did in this video, and you can see it right after this. This thing keeps losing its prime, meaning that the diesel fuel, after it gets into the engine, it leaks back down into the tank and it leaves air in the line, and therefore the diesel won't run. So you have to take this bulb, squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, and that thing is hard to squeeze to get the fuel pump back up in there. Anyway, this is where the filter goes. This was a air bleeder valve right here, like this. And this was not sealing properly. This pin was never getting to the bottom of the hole. I tried to put a drill in there and just touch it. Well, the drill went straight through the hole, just instantly. So now I'm having to recreate this whole setup here. And I'm going to try to reuse these threads. I don't know if I can do that or not, but we're going to give it a shot and see how it goes. Well, I decided to start over with a piece of brass. So I'm going to take this down to 400 thousandths. I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. Okay, if I engage this should feed it to the left. And I'm just going by eye. That looks like it's good enough. We'll see. Well, that's just by eye, but look at that. That's pretty close. About the same distance. So this up here will be the nut on this upper end up here. It'll be the nut. This is the threaded end down here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do more of that and get it down to 400s. I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. My friends, I do not believe in jinxes at all, but this project is jinxed. I was trying to use collet chucks and collets. Guess which collet I need, and guess which is the only collet I don't have? A 1/2-inch collet, believe it or not. You'd think a 1/2-inch collet would be real common, right? The only one I'm missing is a 1/2-inch collet. This one's slightly smaller, this one's too big, so it won't hold this 1/2-inch stock. I just put the regular chuck back on and I'm holding it that way, and I go out and check the threads. It's an M10 by 0.8. Well, guess what I don't have in terms of taps and dies? I don't have an M10 by 0.8. So I'm going to try to do it with an M10 125 and try to rethread that out there. It's probably a stupid thing to do, but I don't know what else to try. It just is what it is. So I'm going to put this on there and thread that and see if that works first. It may not. Well, this is how I've got it set up. It looks crooked, but it's on there straight because this is pushing against the die. And then I basically just turn this, and I can't turn it by hand right now, so I'll use a wrench to turn this. And, you know, hopefully it'll thread itself on there. And every once in a while, you got to give it a little bit of tension there, and just give it a little bit of tension. It's a slow process, a little harder to do while I'm trying to hold the camera. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. Well, the thread looks good. Now the question is, can I rethread the hole out there to this size without having to over enlarge the hole and all kinds of weird things? I may have to go to a bigger thread. This may be all a waste because it may not work on that hole out there anymore. But I'm going to give it one shot and see what happens. I had a feeling this was going to end up being a mess, so I took the filter off way ahead of time because I knew I was going to end up doing something goofy like this because it's just the way my luck goes. It just never is easy, ever. But I don't know if this will rethread this hole or not. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll work, but honestly, I don't see this working. Not on a thread that needs to seal. And I'll put sealant on this. Trying to hold the camera and do things with one hand also just makes it really difficult. So I think I'll just go ahead and thread that. And once I get it threaded, I'll show you. Well, those threads don't actually look horrible. Let me see if that piece I just made will thread in there. And if it seems to thread fairly well, then we'll proceed. Otherwise, we'll have to, just make this the next size bigger or something. I already checked it. It's a little loose thread. It's a little bit of a loose fit. But it does seem to thread down to this neck. And I think if I put sealant on there, we might get lucky enough to make it work. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to keep going forward with it. I got very little to lose at this point. Might as well give it a try. Well, I just discovered something. The little, pin or valve or whatever you want to call this thing that would normally go in this old piece, it checks out to be an M8 by 0.5. Well, I don't have a tap and die for M8 by 0.5. So I went around looking for a different screw. This one turns out to be a 1032, and it fits right in there perfectly. You just have to take my word for it. I've only got one hand. And this one also fits in there perfectly, 1032. I mean, it screws all the way in. Both of them do. Crazy. See, like it just goes right in there. No problem at all. So 1032 and M5 by 0.8 or whatever it is. Yeah, M5 by 0.8 is the same thread. Look at that. It goes right in there, no problem. You can see it. I tested my 10 by 32 and it fits in both of these also. And it goes in perfect. No problem at all. Doesn't have any slop or anything. Perfect. So I never knew that, but there you go. So my 1032 is what I'm going to use for tapping that. I was going to make a new screw, but now maybe I can just use this screw. We'll see. Well, I'm about ready to drill a hole all the way through this. I've cut it off already, as you can see, and I'm actually holding it mostly by the neck. I'm hoping it's going to work. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Looks a little wobbly on the end because I haven't faced it yet, but that's okay. This is the hole that goes all the way through. The threading hole will only go part way. I'm going to go ahead and face that off before I do anything else here. Okay, I'm getting ready to drill this hole for threading for that little valve that has to go in there. I marked the bit. Hopefully I can stop there. I don't know how well that worked, but I'm in fairly deep. It looks like I'm in about 400 thousandths based on what I can do with these calipers here. Just going to double check that. Yeah, right at 400 thousandths. I think I'm going to go in just a little bit more. I only went a tiny bit more, but that'll give me plenty of room for threads, and then to make the little needle on the end to close the valve. Hopefully it's going to work. Okay, I've got my 1032 tap in here, so I'm just going to slide it up there to where it's tight, and then I'll start turning this by hand. Just trying to get it started straight for the most part. Then I'm going to take it out of here, maybe put it in a vise or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it in there and just put a handle on it. I think that's what I'll do. I'll leave it in there, I'll get a handle and do it by hand. Alright, so here's a handle I hope will fit. Feels like it's going to go. Something don't feel right. It came loose. That just doesn't help nothing. Fortunately, I don't think it wrecked up the threads. I guess I'm going to get a collet that'll fit this and put this in a collet and see how that goes. I've got a 10 by 32 die on here, and I'm going to try to screw that in. I don't know if I have the right wrench for that. Probably don't, of course. Basically, I'm just trying to get threads all the way up to the end because I think this stops short of closing off the hole. Anyway, we'll soon know. Okay, here's the part we made. Let's see if it screws all the way up and stops. It's close. I don't know if it's going to stop or not. I can't tell if it's closing off the hole or not for sure. Kind of looks like it is, but almost no way to know. Alright, I'm going to loosen it up, take it out of there. Anyway, bottom line is I'm trying to see if it's closing the hole, and I think it is. I think it is. Alright, well, I'm going to go put this in. Actually, I probably should try to mill some flats on this so I have a way of putting a wrench on it, but I don't know if I want to go into that or not. If I can just put it in with pliers and some goop, that may be all I do in this case, because I am tired of working on this. Well, my friends, A few days have passed. I didn't think this part would come in before I was editing this video, but fortunately it did. One of the key components to my problem has been this thing. It does create suction. I don't know, but somehow or another fuel is passing through this, we believe. We know that this had been open for a while. You know, I mean, it was leaking, and so the fuel could siphon back down. We suspected that it was this. Plus, this one's super hard to press. Where I got the new one here, I assume you can see that here. I got the new one, and it's much easier to press. And so what I wanted to show you, if you can watch right here, when I open this up, when I squeeze this, you should see air bubbles and possibly fuel coming out. There's some air bubbles. And I tighten it back down, I let the bulb expand, and then I open it again, and I squeeze it again, and we're still getting air bubbles coming out. Tighten it back down, let it expand, and keep doing that until we get solid fuel coming out. And I still keep seeing air. I don't even see fuel yet. That's working much better than the old one was working, I can tell you that. There's pretty much fuel that time. I think we're full. So I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm even going to give it a little extra tension with the screwdriver there to make sure it's seated down tight. And now we should be able to start this thing, and it should fire right up, I'm hoping. So let's see if that's the case. Well, my friends, based on everything I know about what the problem has been, I would say it's fixed, because, you know, as soon as you would start it, you would see fuel leaking around this thing. So to me, with the pressure that builds up on the fuel pressure, that has to be fixed. Well, I know I didn't film this very well, but if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you.